What you're looking at behind me is the wall of my living room. This living room has a beautiful fireplace, and behind it is a technique called Venetian plaster. That Venetian plaster that you see there has some sort of light gray and white colors, mimicking a little bit of what Carrara marble looks like. So I took different steps that people have been taking for centuries to be able to accomplish this. I'm using a little more synthetic materials in this case than the regular minerals that were used back in the days. And I want to show you the steps that you need to take. Let me just here to show you all the different patterns that I created. So I want to show you the steps that I took to be able to accomplish all this, have a beautiful sheen on the wall, and obviously just kind of come out with an idea, with a design that kind of mimics what I want for my living room itself. So let's start with all the steps that I took to be able to accomplish this, and I hope they all have all the information that you need. Let's start. This process is one of the most beautiful processes that I've done in my house, and I'm so glad that I'm actually able to use it in two of the five fireplaces that I have in the house. I'm sure that I'm going to do the rest on the other three, but in this case I want to show you this beautiful Carrara marble like pattern that I made over here, and this is done by working with layers. And the sheen that you see here is by using a technique called burning, and I'm using spatulas to be able to do the stuff. So the product that I have over here is a product that actually I brought from Colombia, but you can find it on Amazon. I'm going to leave some descriptions over there, but I'm covering only this wall. The rest have primer and paint, and this one only has the plaster already sanded. I fixed this with many layers of plaster before. I had it nice and ready and smooth, so I can save a lot of my material. Now, the company is called Recall, and that is a Colombian company, or at least I bought it in Colombia. And the main material comes in white in this case. And what I did is that I brought these two quartz with me, and I brought some tinting to be able to get the colors that I want. They also have not only these two that are here, they have it in different presentations, sizes, but I got this gold and this beautiful metallic black, and I have the wax. Now I used those before, and I thought, well, I'm just going to use it in one of my fireplaces, and this is as much as I use in only one fireplace. Here's Paco playing around with the plastic because I was covering this so I don't have dust in my dining room. But anyway, I used the first one. I never got to open the second quart. And if you notice, everything looks beautiful, nice and smooth. And it has some light colors over here. I'm working on this side. And the process that I'm doing over here is, first of all, making sure that everything has this beautiful fiberglass mesh, and then on top of that, all the plaster and all that. And I have some videos where I show you that. But this one is already clean, sanded. I cover all the imperfections, make sure that everything was nice. Brought it all the way to 220 grit sandpaper, nice and smooth, so I can save all my material. I can truly say that if you have your walls nice and clean, you can save material. So what I'm doing is using my compound spatulas over here, my compound knives. I'm using the 4, the 6, and the 14. And I've seen people that use other type of trowel, like a flat trowels, to be able to apply this. Honestly, I will leave that to every technician, every professional that does this. So in my case, I'm using my compound knives. I feel comfortable with them, but again, other people use other types. So we're going to continue the first step with making sure that the layer that we apply doesn't have some sort of particular pattern. It has to be a random pattern. And this black that I have here, I'm going to mix it up because that was the one that I used on my dining room. In my dining room, you can see I had like a darker base, and then I started working with some metallics and some kind of metallic veins to make it look beautiful, to make it look different over there. And with the decoration of the mantle, the clock over there, the 10-piece crown molding that I did, obviously looked massive and beautiful. But over here on this side, I'm going to make sure that I use these lighter tones, and I'm going to have the leftover to be able to work mixing it up and coming out with the colors that I want. And I'm going to show you in a moment how I'm going to do this. Also, you can find colors of so many colors to just kind of cover everything in the way you want. By just going to the companies, they have these finishes, and you can just get whatever color you want based on the pattern that you want. It doesn't have to be, black, white, or whatever. It can be pink, it can be blue, it can have, some sort of design that you want. So the spatulas are really important. They have to be nice and straight and clean and smooth. You don't want to have any type of dent on them. And I'm just going to make sure here that I'm going to just file this nice and straight. Later on, I'm going to just pass a little bit of a 400 grit, same paper on it, just to make sure that everything is as clean, as smooth as possible. Sometimes when you're doing this type of work, you may hit a little bump or something, and you create a little dent. So you want to make sure to remove everything from your spatula and it looks nice and straight. So let's start by applying just a little bit of the material in my larger spatula, so it will be my transporter. And then I'm going to use the 6-inch compound knife or spatula to be able to just apply this in random patterns. Now again, the cool thing about Venetian plaster design in this case, again, is a synthetic material, meaning that they added other new components to the mix, so it can be applied in an easier way, in a nicer way. And this material is so thin to be applied, so smooth, so creamy, so pure, that you will be able to just kind of thin this out as much as you want. It will allow you to work really well. I mean, it's an amazing material. It's like the perfect compound for a wall, but yet it's for this technique. So obviously try to make sure that you maintain the uniformity on your application. You don't want to leave big residues over there, or an excess amount of material on the wall. You want to make sure that you just kind of scrape that and you bring it back to the larger spatula, in my case, what I'm transporting, making sure that your layers are nice and thin, so you can just kind of flatten them out really well and give a little bit of light sanding. Now, every time that I put a coat over here, I go ahead and, at least in the first 2 coats, I apply a little bit of a 400 grit paper. So this is the first layer. We're gonna let it dry for a couple of hours. You're gonna have, you're gonna feel on the touch if it's dry or not after, I will say, like 3 hours or 2 hours, depending on the temperature where you are. And we're gonna, having that base with a little bit of light sanding, we're gonna start mixing our first darker tone that is gonna be right back there. So we're gonna use a lot of the black with just a little bit of white, so we have a dark gray on our first layer. That's where we're gonna have the big veins behind the wall that is gonna give us those kind of dark spots on the wall. So let's mix this really well before you kind of remove a portion of it, because sometimes if it's sitting for a while, you may want to make sure that you kind of just move it around, make sure that all those components are nice and mixed. Just like when you have paint, that's the same thing, that sometimes all this kind of chemical just kind of sit down, or the liquid sit down, it go up and then the solids go down. So you want to make sure that you clean this a little bit. Now, mix it up really well. Okay, find the color that you want. There is other patterns that you can see on natural stone. I saw one that is called panda, like a white panda, and it's actually white and black veins on natural marble, so it looks really beautiful. So you're gonna realize that there is no some sort of a true Correa marble color, because there are so many variations. Those are natural veins, and you're not gonna be able to control that. Just that nature just does that because of the movement and whatever happened at that particular time, and that created that formation, that rocky formation, the marble formation. So you don't worry about that stuff. Again, this is going to be my first dark vein behind all the under all the other layers that I'm going to apply. If you want to start with like some darker veins, and I will say that 65% of my wall is going to be covered with the mantle. So a lot of the work that I'm doing over here pretty much is going to be covered. But anyway, you see that I have some dark spots in one place, lighter spots and thinner spots in another place. And again, this is based on what I saw and some sort of different pictures. Now we're going to go with that will be our third layer. And our third layer is going to be the lighter gray that we're gonna apply throughout the entire wall. And this is gonna give us that, we're gonna build up our material so we can come out with the final luster that we want. You know, that's the important thing, that we start mixing all these materials together, making sure that we apply it really well. And I'm gonna give you a technique in a moment of how you can get the best results ever and used by different people. So mix it up really well. And again, this is small amounts. If you're using this material for larger walls, obviously you're gonna need more material. But if you have a wall that is nice and straight to begin with and nice and smooth, you're not gonna use a lot of it. Remember that I have it over here without primer or anything. I apply the material right over the plaster that I already had. So with the same patience, we're gonna go ahead and cover our darker gray with the lighter gray. We're gonna go through the entire thing just to make sure that everything looks, you know, nice and even, nice and straight. So you don't wanna have larger veins of the material residue, the material on the wall that you notice that is bumpy. So that's you know, the technique that you want to use to be able to apply this. Obviously, if you speak Spanish, you can actually follow me on Facebook in Hugo Correa DIY, where I have a whole bunch of other projects, and in YouTube as Hugo Correa. You can subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and obviously comment, like it, and share it. So let's continue with our project. You can see that behind you have all the beautiful pattern. Now we're using again the 400 and now the 800 because we want to start bringing it into our final coat, which is going to be a white coat again. That is going to give us the final touch of our beautiful wall. So let's start sanding. Obviously, make sure that if you have larger sections, you use masks to be able to avoid any type of dust and cover, you know, clean everything up with that. Now, after the final coat, the same thing, just nice and fine. You're gonna go all the way to 1200 grit paper. And you will notice that if you pass through like 4, 8, 1000 and 1200, by the time that you get to 1000 and 1200, you already see a sheen. You start seeing that glossy finish of the wall, and that's without any type of wax. So we have this wax, and you're gonna find it in pretty much any company that provides this type of products. You can see actually a reflection of the light on the wall without any type of wax. So what I'm doing is I'm applying a fine coat of the wax on the wall, just to kind of start, you know, kind of closing all the little pores and things like that. A lot of people just go straight with a compound knife or a trowel. But look, these are different patterns that you can find of stone, natural stone, and so no a single one has the right pattern. Everything has a beautiful pattern, and as long as you like it, I mean, everything is fine. So that is the important thing about this project, that you allow your imagination go. Make sure that you follow these kind of simple steps. And look, now that I'm doing this, I'm going to use something called burning. I'm using the spatula itself to apply a lot of pressure and start creating that sheen. Now, other people use other type of materials and products to do that. They polish it with machines and things like that, but it's all the same technique, making sure that everything is nice and smooth. Apply a lot of pressure with your spatula in the beginning, create a sheen, apply a little bit more of the wax that you have there, and perhaps use a polishing tool to be able to do stuff, or a rag that you can polish with, like a microfiber. Now is the time for me to put this beautiful mantle. It used to be kind of light beige. We sanded it down really well, painted in gold, and we installed it really well. So those are amazing techniques that you can take to be able to do walls in your house. I live in this beautiful historic house. It's taking me a long time to finish it, but I want to make sure that it's done with the right techniques. And not only this, but I'm going through the steps and making videos about not only this beautiful pattern, but also how to install the molding, how to do patterns with the moldings, how to do all the plaster repairs, how to, you know, kind of apply plaster throughout the entire thing. And you can see that the results are beautiful. Let me show you in other videos how we're going to do all these things.